Hello, everyone. I wanted to come on here and just tell you what I'm reading for spring break. So, my next lectures in my on-campus Intro to Philosophy class, that's going to be on Descartes. So, I am reading this Cambridge Companion to Descartes. I have really been enjoying these. I had one on St. Augustine as well, or Augustine, however you like to pronounce his name. And so, yeah, so I'm going through this. It has just various articles by different scholars talking about themes in Descartes' work. So that's what I'm doing. I also have this, I have the complete set, I guess. I think it's the complete set. Volumes 1, 2, and 3, but I'm mainly focusing on the third volume, the correspondence. Right now I'm reading the letters between Descartes and Princess Elizabeth of Bohemia. So that's really interesting. And these letters specifically are curated to showcase the philosophical ideas of Descartes, his metaphysics, his ethics, his natural philosophy, etc. So I'm getting to learn about him as a person and then also just the way he communicates with different people and his ideas written in maybe a more casual form. So I'm really enjoying this. Those are my two books on Descartes. I'm also doing a translation project working on shifting from not just teaching and reading, but to shifting into writing and for publication. And I've decided to focus on Socrates or Diotimus' speech in the symposium. I've always loved the ladder of Eros and how we can go from seeking beauty on lower levels to ascending to maybe higher levels of beauty that is connected to catalyzing or resourcing eros within us, maybe even oxytocin and dopamine, that we don't always have to outsource those things, that we can come into our embodied kind of homes and generate joy and bliss. And it can be a spiritual experience, and it can feel a lot more calm and certain than externalizing the sources of those things. So to do that, I have the Loeb Classical edition of the symposium, so I can see the Greek right beside the English, and then I have this Oxford Classical Greek Dictionary. So it's going very slowly, but it's fun because I'm trying to sort of translate in a sparse yet poetic way. I really love all of the work of Anne Carson. She can be very lyrical, and so that's what I'm also kind of trying to do in my own sort of style. So it's also helping me study ancient Greek, and I'm also kind of picking up on Latin as well. I've taken a semester in Latin, but I don't have any formal training in ancient Greek language. So this is kind of a fun way for me to learn and then apply as well. So the other books I'm reading, I've picked up Boethius's The Consolation of Philosophy, and I'm loving this. If you haven't read this, it's basically a dialogue between Boethius, who is imprisoned. He has like house arrest, and he is met by philosophy. And philosophy, she is trying to tell him how many human beings chase after fortune. We chase after things that we think will lead us to happiness, but we are putting our sights on something that's ephemeral and that is only predictable in the way that Lady Fortune changes. She's always spinning the wheel. And it alternates between prose and poetry, and I think this is some of my favorite poetry of all. So I'm doing kind of a combination of reading the poems out loud and then just kind of reading the prose and doing my basic annotations. Speaking of poetry, I also have this quite hefty book of Emily Dickinson's poems as she preserved them. So basically, these poems have her sort of alternate substitutions for different words, etc. So this is also a book that I am reading out loud, just because I think that the rhyme scheme and the meter in Emily Dickinson's poetry like should be read aloud. And it's just kind of a new thing that I'm doing. I'm also starting to get into a couple of books written by Jung, his biography, and then also he has an article in here, but this book, Man and His Symbols, was really written after he did an interview with, I think, like the British broadcasting system. And there were several people who felt like Jung is not always accessible to everyone. And so, if there could be a book where his thoughts and ideas were written by himself and also his colleagues that he was really close to, then more people could be reached. And so, I'm reading it because I think my students have mentioned it when I mention Carl Jung, and I can always learn more about Carl Jung. Whenever I read Carl Jung, life just feels more meaningful. And the last book I'm reading is Nikolai Berdyaev, Slavery and Freedom. I'm just about 50 pages in this, but I have a new collab with one of my friends. I will put the link in the description below so you can check it out. You definitely should. We just are choosing a book to read together separately, and then we meet together for an hour or two to talk about the themes and our thoughts, our ideas on the book. We have 2 episodes on our channel so far. It's called Philosophy and Dialogue, Eros and Logos. We have 1 episode on the Pre-socratics, and our 2nd episode is on Plotinus and neo-platonism, and we'll probably have at least 2 episodes about this Berdyaev book because it is sort of one of those books where every sentence feels really meaningful and impactful, and you just have to pause many times and kind of reflect on the ideas. So far, he's mainly talking about what he also touched on in Destiny of Man, personality, and how that is really how we are created in the image of God. And really, personality is a radical act because you can't really form your personality or your character when you're always conforming to everyone else. Like our purpose on earth, which I very much agree with a lot of what Berdyaev says, is to find our own path and have the courage to walk it. And it takes courage because not everyone is going to understand our particular path. It might not be, it might not look like everyone else's. And so, maybe if someone has ever said, well, how can you live like that? Or how can you be like that or make those decisions? Like, how can you be happy? But that is the thing about personality. It's unique and it's irreplaceable. You are you, and that's very special. And so to live that is going to inspire other people to find their individual paths. That's all, a pretty short video. Let me know what you're reading during spring break and if you read anything and that I am reading. And also if you are working on any creative projects for publication or just for your own pleasure. All right, thanks everyone. I will catch you later.